Tarja, thank you very much for joining us here at the Rio Convention's television studio. We've just enjoyed a fascinating debate which you were involved with.
Good moderator.
Thank you very much. Focusing on gender and leadership, really, and leadership in the world of sustainable development. Perhaps I could start by saying, it seems crazy in a sense that here we are in the 21st century and we're still talking about this. This is an issue you would have thought, among all others, that we would have solved by now.
Yeah, I think also that it might be quite interesting if we could see in the future that how the younger generation will say. I think that one of the questions will be that, do you really mean that you didn't notice that you need both men and women? And how did it take so long time to notice such kind of simple things that 50% plus 50% is 100%? But in science or in practice it's even more, in that way that the bigger amounts you can find more resources and yeah, I think that now we are in crossroads, and I'm happy that the Secretary General's high-level panel for UN that it has taken as a principle that if you want to make a serious effort to go forward, you have to remember the empowerment of the women.
Do you sense that there are serious efforts in countries around the world to ensure that women are empowered?
There are such kind of countries, and I hope more and more. And I think that one good example are the Nordic sisters. What I mean with the Nordic sisters are Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway, and Iceland. Because all these 5 Nordic countries, they have a very positive profile in different kind of international comparisons. So they can show that when they at the same time are the gender equality countries, that yes, it does mean something. We call it a welfare society, and many countries have been interested in that. It means that also the society, the state, can give the answer that how men and women both can, for instance, have a better education or get a better care for their children and many such kind of things. I have been especially delighted that in many developing countries there is good input and good results with the women, but of course there still are also the, how could I say, challenges in this sector, and I hope that at the regional level countries could also tell about their good experiences. In our panel we have an excellent representation of Liberia. A couple of years ago we had an Africa Calling big meeting with an African women, and I think that Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf getting now the Nobel Award, and plus also to other ladies. So I think that that was a good recognition also in the publicity that in all continents you do the work.
And as well as, I guess, talking about the glass ceiling, we're talking about decisions that have to be made and including women in the debate, because 50%, it's 50% men, 50% women. What impact do you feel it has on women when they are not involved in the debate and in formulating these texts?
So I think that there are 2 different ways. It seems to be so that women notice more the multidimensional effects of the climate change and the sustainable development, so that sustainable development is of course an environmental issue, that we respect the planetary boundaries, and I think men are also pretty good in that. But then when it comes also to notice that economic growth as such is of course welcome to most of the countries in this globe, but it has to contain the social justice in order to make a difference, so that GDP doesn't tell about the welfare. It's one part of it, but it doesn't tell the whole truth. I think that that has been noticed by the women much more often, because they see also in everyday life the results that if it has not taken enough. 70% of the world's poor people are women, and so in that way also, sad to say, they have more practical experience on this. Even they are working harder than men in many areas.
And the UN, I guess, is often accused of inaction, but you used the example earlier on of Ban Ki-moon including women in some of the top positions on his sustainable development agenda, which you,
and here we have,
which
also, I think that also the whole UN family has made a lot of work in that we see more and more this kind of the pamphlets where you tell that what does it mean in this sector. One thing more, I have been here in Rio. We had a good cooperation with the organization of the scientist. So they have noticed also that it's not enough that you have a science, natural sciences, but you should take also the social sciences. And in this sector, they are excellent women also, more and more. So I hope that this combination, what I have said, free the scientist, that it will also to help to see this kind of work what many NGOs and UN, including them, do. And then also the politicians in different countries, when it's a democracy. So you will get a framework, you will get a back push for yourself in the elections, because that make also voters who know more about these things, and we value if they candidates will do work for that and don't consider that it's something else that they own everyday life.
And a final question, you've been a world leader, you are a world leader at the moment. What would be your advice to your fellow peers about including women in decisions and respecting the rights of gender and integrating gender within these policy frameworks?
It's very important what the mothers say. I say that my mother always said when we kids said that, oh, that's not fair. She answered that, yes, my dear, it's not fair. The world is not always fair, but that's why we are here, that we make it better. But also the fathers. Very often has been said that if the girl has a father who is encouraging, that will pave the way much better. And we can teach and encourage both the boys and girls to see them as individuals, to see that we have two genders. We cannot choose whether we are boys or girls, but we can choose the gender equality.